Hello, my name is Elliot Apcar, and this is going to be a video on how I believe the combination problem of panpsychism can be fairly easily avoided. It's an idea I've had for a few years now, and I've been trying my hardest to think of issues or problems with it, but so far I haven't thought of any. My best counter-argument so far is just Occam's razor, because it requires a couple of assumptions that we have no scientific support for yet. But equally, you could argue that there are no theories right now that are valid that are more simple than this explanation. So I'd love to hear what people think. Anyway, to get right into it, the idea is basically that the mind is not capable of perceiving anything smaller than things on the scale of thoughts. So the basic idea is the mind is made up of small parts. Fairly counterintuitive, but go with it for now. Made up of small parts, and it's only perceivable on a large scale. That's basically the entire theory, but obviously it might not make much sense without a further explanation. So to explain this, our eyes are only capable of perceiving things on a certain scale, within a certain size threshold. We can perceive objects like tables, desks, chairs, insects, trees, mountains, oceans, planets, stars, that sort of thing. We can't perceive atoms, though, just with the naked eye. If I look at a bar of gold, I see it only as a singular thing. I don't see it as a collection of atoms, which it truly is. Same with me. If I look at my hand, really, I'm just a collection of cells. But I see myself. I see a hand. And I believe the mind works the same way. If the mind is made up of small parts, just as I'm made up of small parts, I'm made up of cells. If the mind is also made up of small parts, then if it's not capable of perceiving the small parts that makes it up, then of course we'd think it's just one thing. Our eyes are only capable of perceiving us on the scale of humans, not the scale of cells. So it was only recently we realized that we're not single objects. I'm not just one entity. I'm many entities. I'm a collection of cells. It's a funny thing to say. But the mind might work the same way. It could be made up of loads of small things, but in the same way our eye was only equipped to see us on a big scale, the mind is too. It's not capable of perceiving its smaller parts through introspection. And if this is the case, the combination problem of panpsychism can be avoided completely. Because if we make the single assumption that the mind is not capable of perceiving things on a scale smaller than thoughts or smaller than consciousness, despite being made up of small parts, then there doesn't need to be any combination at all. Because there is no combination. It's just how it's perceived. We think the mind is a singular thing that's indivisible because that's the only way we can perceive it, when in reality it is just a collection of small parts. And another good analogy for this I've seen is the analogy of the artisanal hedgerows, the bushes that have been trimmed into the shape of an elephant. You could have two elephants side by side, made up of hedge. And on the inside, they'd be completely different, even though on the outside they're identical. From far away, they look completely identical. On the inside, the twigs and branches that make up the hedges are 100% different. And I believe thoughts work the same way. The thoughts are the branches, the parts that make up the thoughts are the branches. And the thoughts themselves are the overall effect, the overall morphology created. So if I picture a tree and you picture a tree, it's basically saying that there's no reason why we should believe that our brains are undergoing the same processes to reach that end. And if we take this understanding of how the mind works, we have a fairly coherent theory of mind that doesn't have any major glaring criticisms, because the combination problem is completely invalid against this because there is no combination. And we have the strength of panpsychism as a theory of mind. To me, it seems like I just can't think of any problems with it, but I'd love to hear any problems that other people may have. So feel free to give any criticisms you want. I'd love to hear them. Thanks.